Imagine meeting the love of your life at 30,000 feet while pretending to be someone you're not. Daniel Carvalho, heir to a global airline empire, boards a commercial flight in disguise, exhausted from being hunted for his name, his wealth, his last name that opens every door except the one to genuine connection. He thinks economy class will give him one quiet trip where no one knows his face, no one wants something from him. But then she sits down beside him. Sophia, a travel photographer returning from assignment, her camera bag worn at the edges, her eyes carrying the kind of light that money can't buy. He introduces himself as Dan, just a consultant traveling for work. She smiles, and for the first time in years, he feels seen without being recognized. Over 6 hours between Sao Paulo and Lisbon, they talk about everything except who they really are. And when the plane lands, he realizes he's fallen in love with a woman who has no idea she just spent the flight beside one of the wealthiest men in South America. Before this story takes you somewhere unforgettable, hit like and subscribe, because by the end you'll understand why some connections are worth more than any first-class ticket could ever buy. The thing about flying commercial when you own the airline is that nobody expects you there. Daniel Carvalho had learned this 3 flights ago when he'd boarded under his middle name, dressed in jeans and a simple black hoodie, and successfully made it from Miami to Rio without a single person asking for a photo, a favor, or a quick business opportunity. It wasn't about the money, it never really was. It was about the 15 seconds after someone learned his name, that micro-expression where their entire face recalculated him, where he stopped being a person and became a possibility. So when his assistant protested the Lisbon trip, "Sir, we have 3 private jets available," Daniel had smiled tiredly and said, "Book me on the 6 a.m. commercial. Economy, middle name only." "Economy, sir. I want to sleep without anyone pitching me a startup over Greenland." What he didn't say, "I want to remember what it feels like to be no one." The Sao Paulo airport was its usual controlled chaos at dawn. Families dragging oversized luggage, business travelers moving with military precision, backpackers sleeping against their bags like they'd merged with them. Daniel kept his head down, ball cap low, moving through security with practiced anonymity. He was good at this now, the disappearing. At 34, he'd spent a decade learning that wealth was a spotlight you couldn't turn off, only step out of, briefly, carefully, when the world wasn't watching too closely. Gate 47 was half full when he arrived. He bought terrible airport coffee, the kind he'd never drink in his real life, and sat facing away from the crowd, scrolling through nothing on his phone. That's when he heard her. "Excuse me, is someone sitting here?" Daniel looked up. The woman standing beside him was maybe late 20s, dark curly hair pulled into a loose bun, wearing cargo pants and a linen shirt that had clearly survived multiple continents. Her camera bag hung crossbody, expensive equipment peeking out, the kind of gear that told stories, but it was her face that stopped him. Not because she was beautiful, though she was, but because she looked awake in a way most people didn't at 5:47 a.m., like the world still surprised her. "Hello," Daniel said, gesturing to the empty seat. "All yours." "Thanks." She dropped into the chair with a grateful sigh, setting her camera bag carefully between her feet. "I thought I'd have time for breakfast, but customs took forever. Apparently my passport photo looks suspicious." She made air quotes, smiling, which is code for "you look better in person than in your passport," which I'm choosing to take as a compliment. Daniel found himself smiling back, genuinely. "I think that's the only way to take it, right?" She pulled out a granola bar, unwrapping it with the efficiency of someone who'd perfected eating on the move. "I'm Sophia, by the way, since we're apparently breakfast companions now." "Dan," he said. "Not Daniel, not Carvalho, just Dan," the name his mother used back when life was simpler, before the empire, before every introduction came with weight. "Nice to meet you, Dan." Sophia took a bite of her granola bar, then gestured toward the window where their plane was visible. "Lisbon?" "Yeah. You?" "Same. Well, technically, Lisbon is just the layover. I'm heading to Porto for a shoot, but..." She paused, studying him with sudden curiosity. "Wait, you're not one of those people who hates talking on planes, are you? Because I can shut up. I just spent 3 weeks barely speaking Portuguese, and I think I'm verbally compensating." There was something disarming about her directness. Most people approached him, even when they didn't know who he was, with careful calibration, like they were auditioning for something. Sophia just talked, like they were already friends. "I don't hate it," Daniel said. "Talking, I mean. Good, because 6 hours is a long time to sit in polite silence." She finished her granola bar, crumpling the wrapper. "So what takes you to Lisbon? Business or pleasure?" "Bit of both," he lied smoothly. "Consulting work, but I'm hoping to steal a day or two for myself." "You said you're a photographer." Her whole face changed, lit up. "Travel photographer, yeah. I just finished a project in the Pantanal, wetlands documentation for a conservation magazine. 3 weeks of waking up at 4 a.m. to catch light on water, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, and watching caimans, like it's Netflix." She laughed. "I loved every second. Sounds incredible." It was. She pulled out her phone, hesitating. "Do you want to see some shots? Or is that the photographer equivalent of someone showing you their kids' drawings?" "Show me." Sophia swiped through images. Waterbirds frozen mid-flight, dawn breaking over flooded plains, a jaguar's eyes catching light through dense green. They were stunning, not just technically perfect, but felt. "These are remarkable," Daniel said quietly, and meant it. "Thanks." Sophia's voice softened. "Most people just say nice and move on. I think they don't know what else to say about nature photos." "They're not just nature photos. They're..." He searched for the word. "They're proof that something matters." She looked at him then. Really looked. And Daniel felt the strange vulnerability of being seen, not as the heir, the CEO, the name that moved markets, but as someone who just said something true. "Yeah," Sophia said finally. "Yeah, that's exactly it." Boarding started 10 minutes later. Daniel had booked a middle seat deliberately, the least desirable, the least noticeable. He found row 32 and stopped. Sophia was already there, stuffing her camera bag under the seat, claiming the window. She glanced up and broke into a grin. "No way, you're kidding." "Apparently not." Daniel couldn't help smiling as he gestured to the middle seat. "May I?" "Only if you promise not to hog the armrest." He slid in beside her, and she immediately angled toward him, eyes bright with amusement. Okay, this is either fate or a really small airplane. Probably the airplane. Spoken like someone who doesn't believe in fate. Spoken like someone who's learned that coincidence is usually just logistics. Sophia tilted her head, studying him with that photographer's eye, the kind that saw past surfaces. "You're either really cynical or really hurt," she said lightly. "I haven't decided which yet." Daniel felt the words land somewhere unexpected. Maybe both. Well, Sophia settled back as the plane began to taxi. We've got 6 hours. Maybe by Lisbon, you'll believe in fate. Maybe, Daniel said, but what he thought was, maybe by Lisbon, I'll believe in something. The plane lifted. São Paulo fell away beneath them, sprawling, chaotic, beautiful in the way cities are when you're leaving them. Sophia pressed her face to the window, camera already in hand, stealing shots through double-paned plastic. "Do you always photograph everything?" Daniel asked. "Only things I want to remember." She took 3 more shots, then lowered her camera and turned to him, eyes soft with something like contentment. "I love this moment," she said quietly. "Right after takeoff, when you're not where you were, but not where you're going yet. Just suspended. Between worlds." Exactly. Daniel looked at her, this stranger beside him who somehow felt less like a stranger than most people he'd known for years. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, the weight of his name, his company, his carefully constructed life felt very far away. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia said. "Sure." "And why does someone who can clearly afford better—" She gestured vaguely at him, at his watch he'd forgotten to remove, expensive but understated, "fly economy to Lisbon." Daniel's heart kicked, but Sophia's face held only curiosity, no recognition. She didn't know. She didn't know. "Maybe I wanted to meet interesting photographers," he said. Sophia laughed, genuine, unguarded. "Smooth, Dan, really smooth." And as the plane climbed toward cruising altitude, Daniel Carvalho made a decision. For the next 6 hours, he wouldn't be the heir to Carvalho Global Airlines. He'd just be Dan, the man sitting beside a woman who made the world feel wide open again, the man who, for the first time in years, wanted the flight to last forever. What happens when you finally meet someone who sees you, really sees you, but only because they don't know who you are? The seatbelt sign blinked off. Around them, the cabin settled into that peculiar airplane rhythm, passengers reclining, headphones in, the hum of engines becoming white noise. Sophia pulled out a battered notebook, flipping to a page covered in Portuguese scrawl and small sketches. "Work?" Daniel asked. "Sort of. I keep ideas here. Shot lists, locations I want to revisit, things people say that stick with me." She tapped her pen against the page. "My editor calls it my visual diary. I call it proof I'm not completely disorganized. Can I see?" She hesitated, not from mistrust, but from something more intimate, like he'd asked to read her thoughts. Then she passed it over. Daniel turned pages slowly, watercolor sketches beside coordinates, a quote in the margin, "Light is the conversation between earth and sky," lists of small wonders, dawn in Jericoacoara, street dogs in Cartagena, the way old men play dominoes in Habana Vieja. "You see the world differently," he said quietly. "I see it the way it deserves to be seen." Sophia took the notebook back, careful with it. "Most people move through places like they're checking boxes. I try to stay emotionally, longer than the shutter click." She looked at him. "Does that sound pretentious?" "It sounds honest." "Good," she smiled, "because I'm terrible at pretending." "I'm excellent at it," Daniel thought, but didn't say. Instead, "Where's home for you?" "Technically, Salvador. My family's there. Mom, 2 sisters, an army of cousins who think photography isn't a real job." She said it lightly, but he heard the edge underneath. "But honestly, home's wherever I haven't photographed yet." "That sounds lonely." Sometimes. Sophia's eyes drifted to the window, to clouds stretching endlessly. But it's also freedom. I get to wake up not knowing what I'll see. How many people can say that? Not many. What about you? She turned back to him. What does a consultant do that requires trips to Lisbon? Daniel had prepared this lie, had used versions of it before. Operations analysis. I help companies streamline processes, cut inefficiencies. All technically true. He just didn't mention he did it for his own company. It's not glamorous, but you're good at it. How do you know? Your watch, your shoes. The way you said it wasn't glamorous, like you're apologizing for success. Sophia's gaze was steady, reading him. You don't have to do that with me. I don't resent people for doing well. Just for flying economy when they don't have to? She laughed. That was curiosity, not judgment. I've hitchhiked through Bolivia. I'm not qualified to judge anyone's travel choices. A flight attendant passed with the beverage cart. Coffee? She asked. Please, Sophia said. Black, no sugar. Same, Daniel added. The attendant poured, handed over 2 small cups of mediocre airline coffee. Sophia took a sip and winced. God, it's like they brew it with regret. And broken dreams, Daniel added, and the tears of passengers who missed their connections. They were both laughing now. Quiet, shared amusement that felt disproportionate to the joke, but perfect for the moment. Sophia wrapped both hands around her cup, even though it was barely warm. Can I tell you something strange? She said. Always. I almost didn't take this flight. I had a ticket for tomorrow, but something told me to change it. Last-minute decision, completely impractical. She glanced at him sideways. And now I'm sitting next to someone who makes terrible coffee taste better just by being witty about it. Daniel's chest tightened. Maybe that's fate, he said softly. I thought you didn't believe in fate. Maybe I'm reconsidering. Their eyes held. Just a moment. But long enough that Daniel felt the shift, that chemical recognition that happens when 2 people realize they're standing at the edge of something. Sophia looked away first, smiling into her terrible coffee. So, she said, voice deliberately lighter. Lisbon, have you been before? A few times, you? Once, 3 years ago. I spent 2 weeks eating pastel de nata and photographing azulejos until my feet bled. Her face went soft with memory. It's a city that understands melancholy. All that fado music and ocean light, it knows how to be beautiful while sad. Saudade, Daniel said. Exactly. Sophia looked pleased that he knew the word. That untranslatable longing. The Portuguese perfected it. Do you feel it? Saudade. She considered this carefully. Sometimes, usually for places I've left, or versions of myself I'll never be again. She paused. What about you? What are you saudade for? Connection, Daniel thought. Authenticity. The version of me that existed before wealth made everything complicated, but he said, simplicity maybe, the feeling that choices matter because they're yours, not because of what they cost. Sophia set down her coffee, turned fully toward him. That's the saddest thing anyone's said to me in weeks. Sorry. Don't apologize, just... She searched his face. Someone made you believe your choices don't belong to you. And I don't know your story, Dan, but that's wrong. The plane jolted slightly. Minor turbulence. Neither of them noticed. Maybe they don't, Daniel said quietly. When you're born into certain expectations, you were born into life. Everything else is just context. Sophia's voice was fierce now. protective. Expectations are other people's fears. You don't have to carry them. Daniel felt something crack open in his chest. This woman, this stranger who didn't know his name, his net worth, his legacy. She was defending a version of him that had been buried so long he'd forgotten it existed. "How do you do that?" he asked. "Do what?" "See people clearly." "I'm a photographer." Sophia smiled, but it was gentle. "It's literally my job to look until I find the truth." "And what do you see when you look at me?" The question hung between them. Around them, passengers dozed, watched movies, existed in their own sealed worlds. But here, in row 32, the air felt different, charged. Sophia leaned closer, not dramatically, just enough that he could smell her shampoo, something citrus and simple. "I see someone pretending to be smaller than he is," she said quietly. "Someone who learned to hide because being seen hurt too much. Someone who boards economy flights hoping to remember what it feels like to be anonymous." She paused. "And I see someone lonely in a way money can't fix." Daniel couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. How did she... "Am I wrong?" Sophia asked. "No." His voice came out rough. "You're not wrong." She sat back slightly, giving him space, but her eyes stayed kind. "For what it's worth," she said, "I'm glad you sat next to me. Anonymous Dan is pretty good company." Anonymous Dan, if only she knew. "Sophia," he started. "Yeah?" "I'm lying to you. My name is Daniel Cavallo, and you're sitting in a plane my family owns, and everything I've told you is technically true, but fundamentally false, and I don't know how to stop now because you're the first real thing that's happened to me in years." But he said, "Ma, thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me." Sophia's smile was sunlight breaking through clouds. "That's easy, Dan. You're not as invisible as you think." 2 hours passed like minutes. They talked about everything. Her childhood in Salvador, growing up near the beach, learning photography from her grandfather who shot weddings and quinceañeras, his careful half-truths about business school, family expectations, the pressure of legacy without specifying whose legacy. They discovered shared loves, Saramago novels, Brazilian jazz, the particular magic of cities at dawn before tourists arrived. Sophia showed him more photos. Daniel asked questions that revealed he understood composition, light, storytelling through image, revealing more than he meant to. "You know a lot about photography for a consultant," she observed. "I appreciate art." "Most people say they appreciate art. You actually see it." Her head tilted. "Were you an artist?" "Before?" "Before what?" "Before whatever made you choose safety over passion." Daniel's throat tightened. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who chose the same thing once." Sophia looked out at the Atlantic below, endless blue. "I almost went to law school. My family wanted stability. 3 years of undergrad, already accepted, full scholarship." She turned back to him. "Then my grandfather died and left me his cameras, and I realized I'd rather be broke and awake than comfortable and numb. Do you regret it?" "Every time I eat rice and beans for the 3rd night in a row?" She grinned. "Maybe a little. But then I catch perfect light on water and remember why starving artists actually starve. It's the hunger for beauty." "That's poetic." "That's survival." Sophia stretched, cat-like, easing stiffness from sitting. "But enough about me. Tell me something true, Dan. Something you never tell people." Daniel looked at her. At this woman who'd accidentally become the most important person in his world, in the span of a few hours, and he wanted, desperately, to tell her everything. I own this airline. My decisions affect 50,000 employees. I haven't felt this real in 5 years. I think I'm falling in love with you. Instead, he said, I'm terrified of becoming my father. Sophia's expression softened. Most good people are. What if I already am? Then sitting in economy next to strange photographers wouldn't scare you this much. She reached over, squeezed his hand once. Brief, warm, devastating. You're fighting, Dan. That's what matters. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. We'll be beginning our descent into Lisbon in approximately 30 minutes. Sophia's face fell, just slightly, just enough. Already? She murmured. Daniel felt panic rising. 30 minutes. Then customs, baggage claim, different terminals for her connection to Porto. Then nothing. She'd disappear into her extraordinary life, and he'd return to his extraordinary cage, and this would become a story he'd remember on bad days. The time I was real. Sophia, he said urgently. She turned to him. When you get to Porto... Yeah? Can I see you again? Can I tell you the truth? Can I keep pretending I'm just Dan for one more day? But before he could finish, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her whole face changed. Oh no. What's wrong? My shoot. The magazine just emailed. They're pushing it back a week. Client issues. She scrolled frantically. I don't have accommodation. I wasn't supposed to be in Porto for another week, and an idea struck Daniel. Reckless, impossible, perfect. Stay in Lisbon, he said. She looked up. What? Stay in Lisbon, with me, just... He scrambled for words. Just for a few days, until your shoot. I have to be there anyway for meetings, and you said you loved the city, and... Dan, I can't just... Why not? Because I don't know you. The truth of it hung between them. But so did something else. Possibility. You could, Daniel said quietly. Know me. Sophia stared at him. The plane descended. Lisbon waited below, ancient and golden and full of cobblestone secrets. And in row 32, between two strangers who felt like old souls, a decision was being made. Okay, Sophia whispered. Okay? Okay. Her smile was nervous, excited, terrified. Let's be reckless. Daniel grinned. Really grinned, boyish and unguarded. I thought you'd never ask. But as the wheels touched down and Lisbon rose up to meet them, Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Sir, your hotel is confirmed. Presidential Suite 4 Seasons. Car will meet you at arrivals. His stomach dropped, because the truth was waiting, and he had no idea how to tell the woman beside him that everything she thought she knew about Dan was about to shatter. How long can you pretend to be someone else before the lie becomes who you are? Daniel deleted the text. Opened a new message to his assistant. Cancel the 4 Seasons. Book something small, boutique, Alfama district, 2 rooms, no company name. Use my personal card. The response came immediately. Sir, just do it and cancel the car. I'll take a taxi. He powered off his phone before Paolo could protest further. Beside him, Sophia was gathering her things, checking her camera bag with the focused care of someone whose livelihood hung from a shoulder strap. Ready? She asked. Daniel looked at her, at the woman who'd just agreed to spend days in a foreign city with a man she'd met hours ago, at the trust in her eyes, unearned and fragile. 3 more days of being real. Ready, he said. Lisbon hit them like a warm embrace. Golden afternoon light spilled across terracotta roofs. The airport taxi wound through hills that rose and fell like breathing. Sophia had her face pressed to the window, camera already clicking. God, I forgot how beautiful it is. Golden hour, Daniel said automatically, then caught himself. Sophia glanced at him, amused. You really do know photography. I read a lot. She didn't sound convinced, but let it go. The driver caught Daniel's gaze in the rear-view mirror. First time in Lisboa? For her. Second for me. Beautiful woman, beautiful city. Is romantic. Sophia laughed, flushing slightly. We just met on the plane. The driver grinned. Even better. Lisboa loves new love. The hotel was perfect, a converted 18th century building in Alfama, all exposed stone and wooden beams, tucked into a narrow street where laundry hung between buildings. Reservation for Silver, Daniel said, using his mother's maiden name. The clerk typed, frowned. I'm sorry, there was a plumbing issue. One room is unusable. I can offer you our suite instead. Separate sitting area. We'll take it, Daniel said quickly. Sophia touched his arm. Dan, if you're not comfortable, it's fine. Unless you're secretly a sleepwalker who steals blankets. Only on Tuesdays. Then we're safe. It's Friday. The suite was charming. Whitewashed walls, blue azulejo tiles, tall windows overlooking the river. A separate bedroom with a daybed in the sitting area. Sophia moved to the window, pushed it open. Fado music floated up from below, mixing with children's laughter and fairy horns. My grandfather used to say cities have souls, she said softly. Lisboa's soul is melancholy joy. Daniel came to stand beside her. Perfect sense. She turned, and they were very close now. Why did you ask me? Really? Because you make me remember who I wanted to be. Because 6 hours wasn't enough, Daniel said simply. Sophia's breath caught. For a moment he thought she might kiss him, but she stepped away, smiling nervously. We should explore, while we still have light. Alfama swallowed them whole. Narrow streets twisted like secrets, cobblestones worn smooth by centuries. Every corner revealed something, a hidden chapel, a woman hanging laundry, a cat sleeping in sunlight. Sophia photographed everything, thoughtfully. She'd stop, wait, sometimes for minutes until the light shifted or the moment became what she needed. Daniel watched her work, the focus in her eyes, the small smile when she captured something true. You're staring, she said, not lowering her camera. You're fascinating. Most people don't see what's actually there, she said. They see what they expect, what they want, what they're afraid of. But the truth is quieter than all that. Is that what you see when you photograph? Truth? I try. She started walking again. My grandfather said every photograph is a question. Do you see what I see? And if someone answers yes, then you're not alone anymore. Daniel understood completely. They reached a miraduro overlooking the city. An old man sat on a bench playing guitar, his case open with scattered coins. Sophia listened, then dropped a bill in. Fado? Daniel asked softly. Close. My avô used to play something similar. Her voice went distant. He died when I was 23, heart attack. I never got to tell him thank you for teaching me to see. Daniel wanted to touch her, hold her hand. I think he knows, he said instead. When you photograph with that much care, he's there, in every frame. Sophia's eyes shone. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. They ate at a tiny tasca with no sign, just a door and the smell of grilled sardines. The owner brought food without asking. Sardines, roasted peppers, potatoes swimming in olive oil, cold vino verde. Sophia moaned at the first bite. "This is why I travel." They ate with their hands, soaking bread in oil. The restaurant filled with locals, speaking rapid Portuguese, laughing, living. Nobody looked twice at them. Daniel felt something unknot in his chest. "Tell me something," Sophia said, pouring more wine. "Something real. Something you've never told anyone." The wine made him brave. "I'm not sure I know how to be loved," he said. Sophia set down her glass. "What do you mean?" "I know how to be useful, valuable, but loved." He shook his head. "I don't think I've felt that without conditions." "That's not love, that's transaction. Maybe that's all I'm worth." "Stop!" Sophia's voice was sharp. "I've known you 12 hours, and I already know that's not true." "How could you possibly?" "Because I see you." She leaned forward, fierce. "You think you're performing, but you're not. You're just here, present, kind, sad, in ways you try to hide but can't." She paused. "Whoever taught you that? You're only worth what you provide." They were wrong. Daniel couldn't speak. This woman, this impossible seeing woman. "And for the record," she picked up her wine, "you're easy to like, just as you are. But you don't know who I am." The thought was acid, because she was falling for Dan, the version that only existed in this liminal space between truth and lie. What happened when she learned about Daniel, about the empire, the wealth, the life he'd been running from? Would she still see him? "Thank you," he managed. Sophia smiled, reached across the table, took his hand. "You're welcome." Her palm was warm, calloused from cameras. Real. And Daniel made another choice. 3 days. "I have 3 days to be the man she thinks I am." They walked home through lamp-lit streets, past doorways spilling music, under clotheslines and stars. At their hotel, they climbed the stairs, stood in the doorway of their shared suite. Sophia turned to him. "Today was perfect," she said softly. It was. "I'm glad the plane sat us together." "Me too." She rose on her toes, kissed his cheek, quick, soft, devastating. "Good night, Dan." Then she disappeared into the bedroom, leaving him standing in golden lamplight, her kiss burning on his skin. And Daniel Carvalho, heir to billions, stood in a borrowed life and realized he was in love, completely, impossibly, with a woman who had no idea who he really was. What do you do when the person you love only exists because you're lying? Daniel didn't sleep. He lay on the daybed staring at ceiling beams older than his family's fortune, listening to Sophia breathe in the next room. At 3 a.m. his phone buzzed. He'd turned it back on out of habit. A mistake. 12 missed calls from Paolo, 6 from his father, 3 from board members, 1 text from his brother Ricardo. "Where the hell are you? Dad's losing it. Board meeting moved up to tomorrow night. If you're not there, he's threatening to..." Daniel turned the phone off again. Tomorrow night. He'd promised Sophia 3 days. He had less than 2. Morning came through the windows like honey. Daniel was making terrible instant coffee when Sophia emerged, hair wild, wearing an oversized shirt that said, "Save the Pantanal," with a faded Cayman illustration. "Morning," she mumbled, gravitating toward coffee like a moth to flame. "How'd you sleep?" "Like I'd been hit by a plane." She took the cup he offered, sipped, winced. This is worse than airplane coffee. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be, it's perfect. She smiled over the rim. What's the plan today? Tell you the truth. Destroy this. Break both our hearts. Whatever you want, he said instead. Dangerous words. Sophia moved to the window. Outside, Alfama was waking, shopkeepers opening, old women sweeping stoops, the river glinting. I want to get lost completely. No maps, no plans. Just walk until we find something worth staying for. That sounds perfect. She turned, studying him. You okay? You look tired. Couldn't sleep. Bad couch. Busy mind. Sophia crossed to him close enough that he could smell her shampoo again, citrus and sunlight and Sophia. Want to talk about it? Yes. God, yes. I want to tell you everything. Not yet, Daniel said softly. Is that okay? She searched his face, then nodded. Okay. But when you're ready, you'll be the first to know. The lie tasted like ash. They walked. Up through Grasa, down through Muraria, across into Baisha. Sophia photographed doorways, graffiti, an old man feeding pigeons, light falling through leaves. Daniel just watched her, memorizing. The way she bit her lip when composing a shot. The unconscious hum when something pleased her. The fierce concentration that made the world disappear, except for what mattered. Around noon they stopped at a pastellaria, sat outside with pastéis de nata and espresso, watching tourists stream past with maps and selfie sticks. Can I ask you something? Sophia said. Always. Yesterday at dinner you said you don't know how to be loved. She traced the rim of her cup. But you know how to love, right? Daniel went still. What makes you ask that? The way you look at things, like you're trying to hold them. Her eyes met his. Like you're afraid they'll disappear. His throat tightened. Maybe I am. Afraid of what? That this isn't real. That you'll vanish. That I'll wake up and still be alone in a life I never chose. That I don't deserve good things when they happen, he said finally. Sophia set down her coffee, reached across the small table, took both his hands in hers. Listen to me, Dan. Whatever you think you've done, whatever you think you are, you deserve softness. You deserve kindness. Her grip tightened. You deserve to be seen without having to earn it. Daniel felt something crack in his chest. You barely know me. I know enough. She smiled, sad and certain. I know you're gentle with strangers. I know you listen when people talk. I know you chose a neighborhood hotel over somewhere fancy because you thought I'd like it more. She paused. I know you're carrying something heavy and pretending it doesn't hurt. Sophia, you don't have to tell me. Not until you're ready. She released his hands, sat back. But when you do, I'm not going anywhere. The promise hung between them. A promise she didn't know she couldn't keep. Because tomorrow night, Daniel Carvalho had to reappear. And Dan, this version, this person, one would cease to exist. Afternoon bled into evening. They climbed to São Jorge Castle, bought cheap wine from a corner store, sat on ancient walls, watching the city turn gold. Tell me about your family, Sophia said. You never talk about them. Daniel chose his words carefully. My father is demanding. He built something from nothing and expects everyone to guard it like he does. And you, do you want to guard it? I don't know what I want. The truth felt dangerous and freeing. I just know I'm tired of being what other people need. Then stop. It's not that simple. It is, actually. Sophia turned to face him fully. You just have to decide what you're willing to lose. Everything. I'm willing to lose everything except you. But he said, what about you, your family? They love me. They don't understand me, but they love me. She smiled. My mom still introduces me as my daughter who takes pictures. Not photographer, takes pictures like it's a hobby. Does that hurt? It used to. Sophia drew her knees up, wrapped her arms around them. Now I just feel sad for what they're missing. They could see the world through my eyes if they wanted, but they're too scared it might change them. Would it? Completely. Her smile was soft. That's the point of art, isn't it? To remake you into something braver. Daniel looked at her, really looked, at this woman who'd accidentally taught him more about living in 2 days than he'd learned in 34 years. You're remarkable, he said quietly. I'm just awake. Sophia tilted her head. You could be too if you let yourself. I'm trying. I know. She leaned against him, just her shoulder to his, casual and devastating. That's what makes you beautiful. They sat like that as the sun set, as Lisboa turned from gold to pink to purple. As the world narrowed to this wall, this moment, this impossible thing growing between them, dinner was at a rooftop restaurant Sophia found by accident. Tiny, family-run, the kind of place locals kept secret. They ate grilled octopus and drank wine that tasted like summer. And somewhere between the second bottle and dessert, Sophia said, I leave in 2 days. Daniel's heart stopped. Porto? Yeah, the shoot's back on. She wasn't looking at him. I got the email this afternoon. That's good. That's what you wanted. I know. Finally, she met his eyes. But I don't want to leave. The confession hung between them. Raw, honest, terrifying. Sophia, I know this is crazy. I know we just met, but... She shook her head. I feel like I've known you forever, like I've been waiting to meet you. Daniel couldn't breathe, because she was saying everything he felt, everything he wanted, everything that made the lie unbearable. I feel it too, he said hoarsely. Then what do we do? Tell her. Tell her now. Give her the choice before it's too late. But instead, we have 2 more days. Let's not waste them worrying about after. It was cowardice. Pure, simple cowardice. But Sophia nodded, relieved. Okay, 2 more days of this. 2 more days, Daniel echoed. 2 more days before I lose you forever. They walked home slowly, holding hands now. When had that started? Through lamp-lit streets growing familiar. At their hotel door, Sophia turned to him. Dan? Yeah? Today was... She searched for words. I don't know. Important somehow. I know. She rose on her toes. This time she didn't kiss his cheek. She kissed his mouth. Soft, questioning, careful. Daniel froze for half a second, then kissed her back. Gentle at first, then deeper. Her hands in his hair, his at her waist, the world dissolving until there was only Sophia. Her warmth, her taste, her small sound of surprise that became something else. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered, "Oh, yeah," Daniel managed. "Oh, that was... I know." Sophia laughed breathlessly. "We should probably talk about this." "Tomorrow," Daniel said, resting his forehead against hers. Let's talk tomorrow. Because tomorrow was all he had left. Tomorrow before the board meeting. Tomorrow before his real life crashed back in. Tomorrow before Daniel Carvalho destroyed Dan forever. Tomorrow, Sophia agreed. She kissed him once more, quick, sweet, promising, then disappeared into the bedroom, and Daniel stood alone in the dark, tasting her on his lips, feeling his phone vibrate with 17 new messages he wouldn't read. Because tomorrow, he'd have to choose. The life he'd been born into, or the life he'd found at 30,000 feet beside a woman who made him believe in fate. How do you choose between who you are and who you could be? Daniel woke to find Sophia gone. A note on the counter, her handwriting looping and careless. Went to catch morning light at the docks. Didn't want to wake you. Coffee's terrible but hot. S. He smiled despite everything, despite the phone in his hand showing 23 missed calls. Despite the text from Paolo, "Sir, if you're not at the Ritz by 8 p.m. tonight, your father is calling an emergency vote. Please." The Ritz. Of course, his father wouldn't hold a board meeting anywhere less than the most expensive hotel in Lisboa. Daniel checked his watch. 7 a.m. 13 hours. He powered off the phone and went to find her. The docks were already alive. Fishermen unloading catch, vendors setting up stalls, the river burning copper in early light. He found Sophia balanced on a piling, camera to her face, completely still, waiting. Daniel watched her watch the world. A fishing boat puttered past. An old woman carried flowers. Light shifted through morning haze. Sophia clicked once, twice, then lowered her camera and smiled without looking away from the water. "I knew you'd find me." "How?" "Because you're someone who shows up." She finally turned to him. "Even when it's hard." "Not today. Today I'm someone who disappears." But he climbed up beside her, their shoulders touching. "Catch anything good?" "Everything good." Sophia showed him the camera screen. Images that made his chest ache. A man's weathered hands mending nets. Steam rising from coffee. The precise moment a gull touched water. "You see magic in ordinary things," Daniel said softly. "The ordinary is magic. People just forget to look." She put the camera away. "I was thinking." "Dangerous," she laughed. "About last night." Daniel went still. "Sophia, I don't regret it." Her voice was clear, certain. "I just want you to know. Whatever this is, wherever it goes, I don't regret you. You will. When you know the truth, you will." "I don't regret you either," he said. The truest thing he'd said in days. Sophia took his hand, laced their fingers together. "Can I show you something? Before I have to leave tomorrow?" "Anything." She took him to Belém. Not the tourist sites with their crowds and tour buses, but a small chapel she'd found 3 years ago, tucked behind the monastery where almost no one went. "My grandfather told me about this place," Sophia said as they slipped through an iron gate. "He came here after my grandmother died. Said it was where Lisboa kept its sadness. Inside the chapel was dim and cool. Blue tiles covered every surface. Biblical scenes, geometric patterns, stories rendered in ceramic and glaze. A single candle burned before a statue of Nossa Senhora. Sophia lit another candle, stood with eyes closed for a moment. Daniel waited. When she turned back, her eyes were bright. "I come here when I need to remember that beautiful things can hold grief," she said quietly. That sadness isn't weakness. It's just proof you loved something enough to miss it. Daniel understood she was telling him something important, something about herself, about what she needed him to know. What are you grieving? He asked gently. Nothing right now. Sophia moved closer. But I've learned that everything beautiful has an ending, and I'd rather love something fully, even knowing it ends, than protect myself and feel nothing. She was looking at him when she said it, really looking. And Daniel realized she knew. Maybe not the details, not his name or his wealth or the lie, but she knew this had an expiration date, knew he was hiding something, and she'd chosen him anyway. God, what have I done? Sophia, I need to tell you. Not yet. She pressed fingers to his lips. Please, not yet. Give me today. You don't understand. I understand that you're scared. I understand that you're carrying something you think will ruin this. Her hand moved to his cheek. But I'm not fragile, Dan. Whatever you need to say, I can hear it. Just not today. Today I want to be happy. Daniel pulled her close, held her like she might disappear. One more day, he whispered into her hair. One more day, she agreed. They spent it like people do when they know time is running out. Slowly, paying attention. Lunch at a counter where the owner remembered Sophia from 3 years ago, exclaimed over her return, brought extra dessert. A bookstore in Chiado where they got lost in different sections and reunited comparing finds. The pink street in Cais de Sodré, all graffiti and afternoon light, where Sophia made him stand against a wall covered in painted flowers and took his photo. For my collection, she said. Of what? Beautiful things I want to remember. He almost broke then. Almost told her everything in that pink gold light, with tourists streaming past and his heart breaking slowly. But she kissed him instead. Long and slow and devastating, and Daniel let himself believe, for one more moment, that this was real, that he was Dan, that tomorrow wouldn't come. Evening found them back at the rooftop restaurant, their table from the night before, like they'd reserved it without asking. The waiter brought wine without being asked. Sophia raised her glass. To coincidences that aren't coincidences. To fate, Daniel said. You've changed your tune. You changed it for me. They drank. Around them, Lisboa hummed. Conversations in 6 languages. Laughter, the distant sound of a guitar. I have to tell you something, Sophia said suddenly. Daniel's heart stopped. Okay. I think I'm falling in love with you. She said it simply, like reporting weather. Which is insane because it's been 3 days and I don't even know your last name. But there it is. I'm falling. The world tilted. Sophia. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. She set down her glass. Because tomorrow I leave for Porto, and you go back to your life and this ends, but I don't want it to end without telling you the truth. The truth, Daniel echoed hollowly. That you made me believe in something again, that you reminded me why I do what I do, looking for beauty, for connection, for moments that matter. Her eyes held his. You matter, Dan. You should know that. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. This woman, this impossible, brave, seeing woman who'd just handed him her heart while he held a knife behind his back. I have to tell you something too, he said. Okay. Not here. Daniel stood, held out his hand. Walk with me? They walked to the Miraduro de Santa Catarina, stood at the railing overlooking the river, The bridge lit gold against dark water. Lisbon stretched below them, alive and indifferent to small human heartbreaks. "My name isn't Dan," Daniel said finally. "It's Daniel." "Daniel Carvalho." Sophia waited. "My family owns Carvalho Global Airlines. The plane we met on, I own it. The company, I mean, along with 40 other airlines, 3 hotel chains, and half the shipping infrastructure in South America." Silence. "I got on that flight because I was tired of being recognized, tired of people wanting something, tired of being a name instead of a person." His voice cracked. "And then you sat down beside me, and you saw me. Actually saw me. And I couldn't..." He stopped. "I couldn't tell you because for the first time in years I felt real." Sophia's face was unreadable. "Say something," Daniel whispered. "Please." "How long were you going to wait?" Her voice was very quiet. "Before telling me?" "I don't know. Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to disappear?" "I have a board meeting tonight, at 8, at the Ritz." The words tumbled out. "I've been avoiding it, avoiding everything, because I didn't want this to end." "This?" Sophia laughed, sharp and hurt. "You mean the performance, the fantasy?" "No, us. What we..." "There is no us, Daniel." She stepped back. "There's you lying, and me, falling in love with someone who doesn't exist." "I exist. Everything I told you was true. Except your name, your life, your entire reality." Tears shone in her eyes now. "I told you I wasn't fragile, but I'm not stupid either. You think I haven't met rich men pretending to be normal? You think I don't know what this was? Sophia, please, what was it? Research? Slumming? A fun story to tell your billionaire friends? No. God, no, it was real. You're real. The most real thing I've..." "Stop!" She held up a hand. "Just stop, I can't..." Her voice broke. "I need to go. Let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You lied. For 3 days, you looked me in the eye and lied." She wiped her eyes roughly. "And the worst part, I would have loved you anyway, the real you, if you'd just trusted me enough to tell me." The truth of it destroyed him. "I'm sorry," Daniel whispered. "So am I." Sophia turned, started walking. "Wait." Daniel reached for her. She spun back. Don't follow me, don't call, don't..." She swallowed hard. "Just go to your board meeting, Daniel. Go be who you really are." "This is who I really am. With you, I'm a liar." She said it softly. "With me, you're a liar. And I deserve better than that." Then she was gone, down the hill into the maze of Bairro Alto's streets, disappearing into Lisboa's golden shadows, and Daniel stood alone on the Miradouro, watching the city that had given him everything take it all back. His phone buzzed. "Paulo. Car's waiting. Please, sir, it's time." Daniel looked at Lisboa one last time, then he got in the car and became Daniel Carvalho again. Can you find your way back to someone after breaking their trust? The Ritz was everything Daniel hated: marble, gold, staff who bowed, chandeliers that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. His father waited in a private conference room, flanked by 8 board members whose combined wealth could buy countries. "Daniel," his father's voice was ice, "how generous of you to join us." "Father, 3 days. 3 days you were unreachable while the Singapore deal nearly collapsed." Augusto Carvalho stood, tall, silver-haired, titanium in a suit. "Would you care to explain?" Daniel looked at the men around the table, men who'd watched him grow up, men who saw him as a balance sheet, not a person. "No," he said quietly. Augusto's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I said no. "I don't owe you an explanation for 3 days of my life." Silence crashed through the room. "You owe this company. I've given this company everything." Daniel's voice was still quiet, but steel now. "My 20s, my 30s, every relationship I've tried to build, my entire life shaped around your expectations." He paused. "So no, Father. 3 days are mine." "You ungrateful." "I met someone." The words stopped Augusto cold. "What?" "I met someone on a plane. She didn't know who I was, and for 3 days I got to be just a person." Daniel's throat tightened, and I fell in love with her, completely. And then I destroyed it because I was too afraid to tell her the truth. One of the board members, Carlos, who'd known Daniel since childhood, leaned forward. "This woman, she matters?" "More than anything." "More than the company?" Augusto demanded. Daniel looked at his father. Really looked. Saw the loneliness there. The fear masked as control. The man who'd built an empire and lost himself inside it. "Yes," Daniel said. "More than the company." "Then you're a fool." "Maybe." Daniel stood. "But I'd rather be a fool who loved than a king who didn't." He walked out. Behind him, voices erupted. His father's rage, board members arguing. But Daniel kept walking. Through the lobby, past doormen, into Lisboa's night air. He had no plan. No idea where Sofia was. Just the certainty that he couldn't let it end like this. He tried their hotel first. The purple-haired clerk looked up, sympathetic. "She checked out an hour ago, senor. Left for the airport." "Which terminal?" "I don't know, I'm sorry." Daniel ran. The airport was chaos. He checked every airline counter, every gate, scanning crowds for dark curly hair and a camera bag. Nothing. His phone rang. Paulo. "Sir, your father is threatening to—" "I don't care." "Sir?" "Paulo, I don't care. Not right now. Not about the board, not about Singapore, not about any of it." Daniel's voice cracked. "I lost her. I lost the only real thing I've had in years because I was too much of a coward, to be honest." Silence. Then, quietly, "The only Sofia on tonight's manifests is on the Porto flight. Gate 23, boards in 20 minutes. Paulo, go, sir. I'll handle your father." Daniel ran. Gate 23 was boarding when he arrived. He scanned the waiting area, heart hammering. There. By the window, camera in her lap, staring at nothing. "Sofia." She turned. Her face shuttered immediately. "What are you doing here?" "I needed—" He gasped for breath. "I needed to tell you something." "You've told me enough. Please, just listen. 2 minutes, then I'll leave, I promise." Sofia's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Daniel sat, keeping space between them. "You were right," he said. "I was a coward. I was so terrified of becoming what everyone else sees, the name, the money, the machinery, that I thought if you didn't know I could be different, be real. But you weren't real. You were hiding. I know. And I was wrong." He turned to face her fully. "But Sofia, everything else was true. The way I felt. The way you made me remember who I wanted to be, that was all real. How am I supposed to know that, when the foundation was a lie? Because I'm here." His voice broke. "Because I just walked out on a board meeting that might cost me my company. Because I ran through an airport like an idiot looking for you. Because losing you feels like losing myself. Sophia's eyes glistened. Daniel, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I broke your trust, but I'm asking for a chance to be honest. To be the man I was with you, but without the lies. He swallowed hard. Because you were right. I would have fallen in love with you no matter what. Rich, poor, whatever. It wasn't about the circumstances. It was about you. It's always been you. A tear slipped down her cheek. You hurt me. I know. I don't know if I can trust you again. I know that too. The gate agent's voice crackled. Final boarding for Porto. Sophia stood slowly. Daniel's heart shattered. She was leaving. It was over. But then she turned back. You want honesty? Real honesty? Yes. Then tell me. Her voice was fierce. No performance, no pretty words, just truth. Why do you want me? Daniel stood, looked her in the eye. Because you see me when I'm scared. Because you make ordinary moments feel sacred. Because you're brave enough to love fully even knowing it might hurt. His voice steadied. Because 3 days with you taught me more about living than 34 years of existing. And because when I'm with you, I'm not Daniel Carvalho, heir to anything. I'm just Tommy, the person I forgot I could be. Sophia's breath hitched. And if I get on that plane, then I'll respect it. But I'll also spend every day trying to be worthy of the chance you gave me. He smiled sadly. Even if I never get another one. The gate agent called again. Last call for Porto. Sophia looked at the gate, then at Daniel. Then she did something he didn't expect. She laughed. Soft, broken, beautiful. You're an idiot, she said. I know. A rich idiot who thinks running through airports fixes things. I'm learning. And you broke my heart. I know. I'm so sorry. Sophia wiped her eyes, picked up her camera bag. Daniel's heart sank, but she didn't walk to the gate. She walked to him. I'm not getting on that plane, she said quietly. What? I'm not getting on that plane because I'm an idiot too. She shook her head. Because I meant what I said. I'm falling in love with you, and apparently I'm the kind of fool who'd rather fight with you than run from you. Sophia, but we have rules now, new rules. Anything, no more lies, ever, not even small ones. Done. You don't get to hide when things get hard. You talk to me. Yes. And you have to meet my family, all of them. My mom who'll judge you, my sisters who'll interrogate you, my cousins who'll test whether you're good enough. Daniel smiled through tears. I'd be honored. And one more thing. What? Sophia stepped closer, close enough that he could see gold flecks in her brown eyes. You have to let me photograph you, the real you, not Dan the consultant. Daniel, whoever he is, all of him. The scared parts, the broken parts, the parts you think aren't worth seeing. Why? Because that's how I'll learn to trust you again, by seeing you completely. Daniel's voice came out hoarse. And if you don't like what you see, then we'll figure it out, together. She touched his face. But you don't get to decide for me what I can handle. That's not how this works. How does it work? Messily, honestly, bravely. Sophia smiled through tears. That's the only way love works. Daniel pulled her close, held her like gravity. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me now. Promise. Promise. And there, in Gate 23 of Lisboa Airport, While the portoplane departed without her, Sophia kissed him. Different from before. Not careful, not tentative, but real. The kind of kiss that meant starting over. The kind that meant choosing each other despite everything. When they broke apart, Daniel whispered, "What now?" Sophia grinned, wild and bright in his. "Now you take me to that board meeting." "What?" "You heard me. I want to meet your father, see your world, all of it." She squeezed his hand. "No more separation between Dan and Daniel, remember? I want all of you. They'll eat you alive. Let them try." Her eyes sparkled. "I've photographed jaguars. I can handle billionaires." And Daniel laughed, really laughed, for the first time in longer than he could remember. "Okay," he said, "let's go." Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you completely. The Ritz conference room fell silent when Daniel walked back in, with Sophia beside him. His father stood at the head of the table, mid-sentence, face darkening. "Daniel, what is the meaning? This is Sophia Mendes." Daniel's voice was steady, his hand firm around hers. "She's a photographer, she's brilliant, and I'm in love with her." 8 board members stared. Augusto's face went from red to purple. "You walked out of a critical meeting for the woman I love." "Yes." Daniel met his father's eyes. "And I'd do it again." Sophia squeezed his hand once, support, courage, then stepped forward. "Senor Carvalho, I know this is unconventional, but your son just chased me through an airport because he'd rather lose his company than lose his chance at being honest." She smiled, polite but unflinching. "That tells me something about his character. Maybe it should tell you something too." The room held its breath. Augusto studied Sophia, her worn camera bag, her simple dress, her absolute lack of intimidation. "You have no idea what you're walking into," he said finally. "You're right. I don't." Sophia's chin lifted. "But I know your son is trying to be brave, and that seems more important than whatever deal you're negotiating." Carlos, the older board member, chuckled suddenly. "She's got fire, Daniel. I like her." "Carlos," Augusto warned. "Oh, let the boy breathe, Augusto. When's the last time any of us chose love over a contract?" Carlos stood, extended his hand to Sophia. "Carlos Ribeiro. I've known this stubborn fool since he was 6. Sophia shook it. "Did he lie about who he was back then too?" "Constantly. Told his kindergarten teacher he was a dinosaur hunter." Despite everything, Daniel felt his lips twitch. Sophia glanced at him, eyes dancing. "A pattern of deception. Noted." "Miss Mendes," Augusto cut in, voice tight. "This is a private meeting. Then I'll wait outside." Sophia turned to Daniel. "Take your time. Have your meeting. Make your decisions." She kissed his cheek, whispered, "Be honest. With them and yourself." Then she walked out, camera bag swinging, leaving a wake of stunned silence. Augusto rounded on Daniel. "Have you lost your mind?" "Possibly." Daniel sat, gestured for the others to do the same. "But we have business to discuss. Singapore, wasn't it?" The meeting lasted 2 hours. Daniel negotiated, compromised, held firm on what mattered and yielded on what didn't. But something had shifted. He spoke with his own voice now, not an echo of his father's expectations. When Augusto pushed for aggressive expansion, Daniel countered with sustainability concerns. When the board questioned his commitment, he didn't apologize for his absence. 3 days, he said simply. In 34 years, I took 3 days, and I came back clearer about what matters than I've been in a decade. And what matters, his father demanded. Building something worth inheriting, not just profitable, meaningful. Daniel looked around the table. This company employs 50,000 people. Their lives matter more than our stock price. That has to mean something. Augusto's jaw tightened, but Carlos nodded slowly. The boy has a point. The boy is naive. The boy, Daniel interrupted quietly, is done pretending he doesn't have his own mind. His father stared at him, really looked at him, perhaps for the first time in years. What he saw there must have surprised him, because his voice softened, barely, but noticeably. You've changed. I'm trying to. Because of her. Because of me. She just helped me remember who I wanted to be. Augusto was silent for a long moment. Then, bring her to dinner. Sunday. Your mother would want to meet her. It wasn't approval, but it wasn't rejection either. Thank you, Daniel said. The meeting adjourned. Board members filed out, some clapping Daniel's shoulder, others shaking their heads. Carlos lingered. Your father's scared, you know. Of what? That you'll be better than him, kinda, and it'll prove he did it wrong. Carlos smiled sadly. Don't lose that girl, Daniel. Women who make you brave are rare. I know. Good. Daniel found Sophia in the lobby. She'd pulled out her camera, photographing light falling through crystal chandeliers onto marble floors. Find anything worth shooting? He asked. She lowered the camera, grinned. Beauty in expected places. It's harder to capture, but more satisfying. How'd I do? You came back, that's how I know. She tucked the camera away. So, what happened? I didn't get fired. My father wants to meet you, and I think I just took the first step toward being my own person. That's pretty good for one night. It's a start. Daniel pulled her close. Thank you for coming back, for giving me another chance. Thank you for chasing me. Sophia's arms wrapped around his waist. Though fair warning, if you ever lie to me again, I won't be at an airport. I'll be somewhere without cell service. Noted. They stood like that, holding each other in the ridiculous opulence of the Ritz lobby, while staff pretended not to notice. Finally, Sophia pulled back. I'm starving. And that restaurant we like is probably closed. So what do rich people eat at 10 p.m.? Daniel laughed. Whatever they want, I suppose. Then I want francesinha, the greasiest, most heart-stopping francesinha in Porto. And since I missed my flight, she raised an eyebrow. You're buying the train tickets. We could take the helicopter. Daniel. Train tickets, got it. They took the midnight train to Porto, found a tiny restaurant still open near the station, ate sandwiches drowning in cheese and sauce while Sophia told him about her upcoming shoot, a documentary on traditional fishing villages, 3 weeks along the northern coast. Come with me, she said suddenly. What? Come with me. Not the whole time, just a few days. See what I do. How I see the world. She paused. I meant what I said about photographing you, all of you, and I can't do that in conference rooms. I have responsibilities, and you'll handle them. But you also have a life. Or you could, if you chose to. Sophia's eyes were serious now. I'm not asking you to abandon everything, just to make space for something beyond it. Daniel thought about his father, about the man who'd built an empire and lost himself, about the choice he'd almost made, control over connection, power over presence. Okay, he said, okay. I'll come, for a few days. He smiled. On one condition. What? You teach me to see the way you do. Really see. Sophia's face lit up. Deal. They found a small hotel near the river. This time they didn't need separate rooms. They lay in the dark, window open to Porto's sounds, cars on cobblestones, distant music, the river's whisper. Sophia's head on his chest, his fingers in her hair. Daniel. Yeah? I'm still scared. Of what? That this won't work, that your world and mine are too different, that loving you means losing myself. He held her closer. I'm scared too, that I'll disappoint you, that I'll fall back into old patterns, that I'm not capable of being who you need. So what do we do? Stay scared together? Daniel kissed the top of her head. And try anyway. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then, my avo used to say the best photographs happen when you're terrified. When you're shooting something that matters so much, you're shaking, because that fear means you're awake, really awake. Sounds like love. Sounds exactly like love. She tilted her face up to his. So let's be awake. Let's be terrified. Let's take the shot, even though we're shaking. Daniel kissed her then, soft and slow, and full of promise, of mistakes they'd make, and forgiveness they'd learn. Of his world and hers finding a way to merge, of two people brave enough to try. When they broke apart, Sophia whispered, "Tell me something true." Like what? Anything. Just something real. Daniel thought about it. About who he'd been on that plane and who he was now. About the distance traveled and the distance left to go. I used to think love meant being worthy, he said finally. Being enough. But you taught me it's the opposite. It's being seen completely. Flaws and fears and all the broken parts. And chosen anyway. Sophia's eyes shone in the dark. Yeah, she whispered. That's exactly it. Outside, Porto dreamed. Inside, two people who'd found each other at 30,000 feet held on tight and chose each other again and again and again. 3 months later, Daniel stood on a rocky beach in northern Portugal, watching Sophia photograph fishermen mending nets in golden dawn light. She'd been right. The world looked different through her eyes, slower, more intentional, full of small miracles he'd been too busy to notice. His father still called too often. The board still questioned his decisions. But Daniel had learned to create space, to say no, to choose presence over performance. He'd even picked up a camera himself, nothing professional, just a way to practice seeing. Sophia turned, caught him watching, grinned. You're doing it again. Doing what? Staring like I'm going to disappear. Old habit. She crossed to him, wind-blown and beautiful, smelling like salt and sunlight. I'm not going anywhere, Daniel Carvalho. You're stuck with me. Best thing that ever happened to me. Being stuck, being seen. Sophia kissed him, brief and warm and real, then handed him her camera. Your turn. Show me what you see. Daniel raised the camera, framed her against sky and sea and endless possibility, and captured the moment, not perfect but true. A woman who'd taught him to be brave, a love found by chance and chosen by courage, a life lived awake. He lowered the camera, smiled. Beautiful. The photo? Everything, Daniel said, and meant it. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances, in brave love, in the courage it takes to be seen completely. Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us why we dare to love at all. Some connections aren't accidents. They're invitations to become who we were always meant to be. Would you have forgiven him?